could sit and listen to Nongoma's natural sound. As Siphamandla Goge calls it, nat sound. That's what we call it in the industry. And Siphamandla Goge, I was saying earlier, has been a masterclass in covering this, but he was having to move around the kraal a lot. Tula Sizwe Samalani joining us for this afternoon, as well. We are going to bring Mabuto and Kobo back in a couple of minutes as well. And it's so important to have someone like Siphamandla there.
Absolutely.
Because while we're looking at the tradition, the history, the relevance, of course, and where the royal family of the AmaZulu live in modernity in our country right now. What can't be separated to us, and I'm going to ask you to put on your political hat as well, as I did to Siphamandla, is the political side of this. You know, I'm not sure if it's a case of the royal family of yesteryears had to deal with the same politics that the new king does, or is it now just because we have cameras there that it seems more relevant?
I suppose there's always been, and good afternoon to our viewers, and good afternoon to you as well, Gareth. There's always been this question of what role does the king play in the contemporary issues playing out in the country that affect the people that he leads at any given point. But the one principle is that the king is above politics. The king is the unifier of the AmaZulu, as happens in other, in other nations as well. But you're always asking yourself, how does the king intervene strategically? How does the king exercise soft power? How do you reach out to, in a democratic state? Because this is part of the beauty of it. Actually, people find contradictions, but for me, Gareth, it's actually the beauty of it, that you have a monarchy within democratic South Africa that restores. If our constitution and our country is about saying never again, the wars of conquest that people fought over the many centuries, the sort of decimation of culture, we are in a phase now where it can actually be restored and actually be celebrated in the manner that has been happening in the last year or so, with the last few events that have been happening in KwaNongoma. So in a democratic state, it is about exercising soft power. It is about championing the well-being and welfare of the people you lead, but strategically as well, realizing that it's not just about AmaZulu, because it's not about, this is one unitary state, South Africa. If you can intervene on a matter that affects beyond the people of AmaZulu people, that is in the good, in the good of everyone in South Africa. It is about playing that role, being above politics, party politics and factions, but also at the same time embracing the democratic state as well.
And the democratic state is not just our democratic states as well, it's transnational. If you look at the influence of the incoming king, it's not just South Africa, Lesotho, Zimbabwe, Eswatini, Malawi, Botswana, Mozambique, all of their eyes focused on the celebration, the recognition of the incoming Zulu King. Siphamandla Goge back with us again. Just to remind viewers, as Tula Sizwe Samalani joins us in a moment again, will be Mabuto and Kobo, ENC producer and historian. We're not able to show you. I know I've said this a number of times today, but I'm still seeing messages on social media saying, why, Gareth, aren't we showing the king inside the kraal at the moment? That is at the request of the royal family. We are not allowed to show this particular part of the king inside the kraal. It's all to do with sacred ceremonies. Let's just get you some clarity on that. We do, however, can bring you the audio of Siphamandla Goge. I said the masterclass, a lesson in how this is done for us. Siphamandla Goge, let's come back to you. Where are you at the moment? Because I know you got moved around a lot outside the kraal. What do you have for us, and where exactly are you, Siphamandla? All right, looks like we don't have Siphamandla back with us. My team did tell us he was there, but you'll have to bear with us, Tula Sizwe, because you've been out in the field when this happens. The expectation was 5,000 people, and Siphamandla is not even going to begin to guess how many. It's much more. There was an aerial shot that I think we had from higher up outside the Royal Palace looking in, and there's no chance this is 5,000 people. Now, the reason I say that is it is going to affect things like cell phone signal and audio signals.
It absolutely does.
You will bear with us if we have to interject every now and then.
It's a place of pride as well, Gareth. If you are in KwaNongoma, I mean, there's an area there called the Valley of the Kings, and that's where, the history, it's like walking through
I'm getting goosebumps just thinking of it.
History textbook of AmaZulu. where you can trace the lineage, because, you know, the significance of this as well is that King Misuzulu KwaZwelithini being ushered into the sacred kraal. The kraal itself is sacred, and I believe you've had this conversation quite a number of times, but we can go on and on. But also it's about introduction to the ancestors and how rich is that ancestry, tracing it back all the way to King Shaka Senzangakhona. But also, even before the unified AmaZulu nation, there are deep tributaries of history that came together to form in this confluence AmaZulu. So you'll understand why people, at the very first opportunity they got to descend on KwaNongoma, they were not going to miss it. Remember the last time this was happening, the last time we had any event of this sort, it was a bit of a touch-and-go sensitive period, because that's the period when it was the reading of the will of the late Queen Mandvombi. And before then it was the reading of the will of King Goodwill Zwelithini kaBhekuzulu. And before then it had been, you know, the passing on of the two. And so there's not been an opportunity to come in celebration mode. It's been in mourning, and it's been in that uncertainty of the, they call it the interregnum, the period in between. And now this is the first opportunity. No COVID restrictions. Remember, people last time were saying, had there been no restrictions, you would have seen us. We would have come to embrace our royal family. And this is what you are seeing.
And they've proven exactly why they said that, because all restrictions aside, come one, come all is essentially what the call was from the royal family, and it looks like a lot of people have answered that call. Because I want those at home right now that aren't able, none of us actually, not just you at home, none of us, nowhere in South Africa, apart from the select few, Tula Sizwe and Mabutu in South Africa, are seeing the king inside the kraal. There was an image painted with his words, as only Siphamandla Goge can paint, that walking to the kraal, there was the Amabutu, there was the elders, there was the seniors, and as the king got to the kraal, they stopped and they let him walk in all by himself. You just have to use your mind's eye, your imagination, and just that valley of the kings. Just use that as a narrative, and you see him. I can almost imagine him walking in with the entire Zulu nation looking at him. The weight of the nation on his shoulders as he stands there. Absolutely. Everything. And it's a wonderful moment. Unfortunately, we can't see it visually. Siphamandla, let's see if we can bring you back into this. Forgive me, Tulas. Let's see if we can bring Siphamandla back into this as well. See if we've got your audio. Sipha, I was asking you earlier as we talk about your ongoing narration. If you can hear me, where are you and what are you seeing? Paint us a picture with your words.
We are inside the cathedral and we are streaming the visuals here. We've been given permission to go ahead and film, so you should be seeing our visuals inside the kraal. In front of me here, I see that Queen Zolala Mafu of Ondini has arrived here. She is the youngest queen of the departed AmaZulu King, that is Zwelithini kaBhekuzulu. Is sitting there with Queen Mother Umavis Umazungu, and she's also sitting married to Prince Mqwazini, who was the regent when King Bhekuzulu passed away, and Prince Mqwazini was from 1960 something till 1971, if I'm not mistaken. So we have spotted the arrival of Undlunkulu Uzola Ulamafu of Olundi Ondini, a very historic royal palace for the kings. And also I've spotted here Undlunkulu Umakwabini Uzungu, Undlunkulu Uzungu Kwabini Umavis, married to the late King Bhekuzulu, King Goodwill Zwelithini's father, and she's the only surviving widow of King Bhekuzulu. Mantombela is sitting in the middle. There are senior members of the Zulu royal family, including Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, the traditional prime minister of the Zulu nation. Next to Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, Prince Tutugo Yesizwe, and next to Prince Tutugo Yesizwe will be Prince Philmon of Wafihlingindi. Prince Philmon son of King Dinuzulu, and he is one of the senior members of the royal family. He is the gentleman who's wearing glasses next to Chris. And I see the senior counsel advocate Griffiths Madonsela there. Madonsela is wearing glasses as well. He's clad in traditional attire, and today he sent his junior to court and go and listen to what was happening with the urgent application brought by the late king's daughters from Kwaketo Mthandayo, two princesses, the Ntombi Zosuthu as well as Princess Dando. They wanted to interdict ukuxoxwa kwesilo here kwakhangela Mankengane Royal Palace. So Advocate Griffiths Madonsela, the one who's representing King Misuzulu, and of course that application has been struck off the roll. So it continues, the celebration and the continues, and it's very packed here. And I'm going to my colleague Joe Komane, if he can stand up a little bit. Can we allow Ujo, if Ujo Komane can step back a bit and come back, so that we'll show you proper visuals without blocking other colleagues here. Joe Komane will show you visuals of Amabutho and the police on the other side. Bear with us. It's not possible to work freely and to move freely here. It's really very congested here, and there are too many police officers inside. And I think I see former Health Minister Dr. Zwelithini Mkhize as well. He has just arrived here, clad in traditional attire. Dr. Zwelithini Mkhize here is the former Premier of KwaZulu-Natal. He worked very well, by the way. Okay, Joe Komane, I'm going to ask you, my brother, if you can go back to the position you were, because our picture is breaking up. It seems as if the more we move, the more we have some breakup. So let's see how that will be if Joe Komane tries to kneel, if it will improve at all. But it's the issue of the signal. Advocate Dalimpofu is also here. Advocate Dalimpofu is also here. I've spotted him as well, clad in the traditional AmaXhosa attire. And I'm mentioning about former Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, Dr. Zwelithini Mkhize, of course, having worked well with the late king of AmaZulu, King Goodwill Zwelithini KaBhekuzulu. They had a very close relationship for a very long time. It's not surprising that he is here. Of course, himself has always been supportive of what is happening at the royal house. And there are many other leaders who are here. Minister in the President, Mondli Gungubele, is also here. Of course, Amampondo delegation is here, Amaswazi, and a number of other nations, Amandebele, are also here. Even kings from Malawi, Zambia, known as Amangoni or Abengoni. Initially, they were the Ngunis, Abengoni, but now they are called Abengoni. They are also here to show some respect and, honor this ceremony as we wait for AmaZulu King Misuzulu KwaZwelithini to emerge from the kraal. I'm going to ask my colleague Komane to stay with visuals. If you can see our visuals, I think the king will be coming out any minute from now. Let's just listen in, because I see some movement there, and a path has been made and created for him to leave that very special part of the kraal where he entered by himself. Of course, his brothers were by his side, but he has to take this journey alone. Now, when he emerges out of that specially designed part of the kraal, which is covered, you don't know what is happening inside. You can't see. Amabutho have been told to stop singing by Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi. The king is coming out now. Let's see, and let's wait for the salutation. If you have our visuals, please just take what you will be seeing now. It's official. The king will be emerging out of the kraal, the special section of the kraal, within or inside the kraal itself here. Very heavy security. Members of the police's task force are inside the kraal. The king's security detail is closely guarding that part of the kraal. A delegation from Eswatini. I see Prince Kuduza here. He is here, and I see Induna Esilo has just emerged from where the king king had entered, that signals the fact that he's going to leave that section of the kraal now, come here, receive a salutation from Amabuto, members of the Zulu royal family. And why did he enter the kraal? Well, simply because he had to connect with the departed kings. This is more of a traditional prayer. He's being introduced to the departed kings, and he is being, prayed for. They are asking for him to be granted wisdom.